Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you in Estonia, a nation with organic ambitions, with a substantial organic area, with activities and initiatives in market and schools, and whereas today you're honoring best practice in organic farming and food production. I'll be speaking about organic policy and NGO mobilization and some things that are working in Denmark. I'll also be speaking about global trends and challenges. So I'll start with the organic market in Denmark. Talk about some policies that are working, some key lessons about how we mobilize for both policy and market, and then some opportunities and challenges in the new EU goal for 25% organic in 2030. Then we have some global challenges and opportunities, I'll have some ideas about how we can tackle them. And then throughout, I want to emphasize the role of the organic sector and organic NGOs in really driving change. In Denmark, that's Organic Denmark, which represents and brought together 8 organizations of organic farmers, food companies, food professionals, and consumers into one organization that gave much more influence in policy and in market and in the media and on the farms. Denmark has the highest market shares for organic in the world. These are the most recent figures, but we are approaching 14% of the total market now. 99% of the population know our organic label, and 75% of Danes are buying organic food every week. So this is not a niche anymore. This is getting to be a norm. And for many selected products, we actually have 30 to 50% of the total food market. So for eggs and milk and flour and oats and many vegetables, baby food, you almost can't buy conventional anymore. And for some products, mostly meat, for example, percentages are lower, 3 to 10%, for example. These are also products we need to eat less of. The food service industry, we've had a 5-fold increase over the last 10 years, driven by the public kitchens converting to organic, but also the private restaurants and catering. We did have a deep fall, as everywhere, in food service under COVID last year, but this was more than made up by increased sales in retail and online, and now almost 11% of all organic sales are actually online, and the top 4 companies selling food online have organic percentages of 26 to 100%. We also have a lot of momentum in agriculture. Organic area has doubled since 2007. We have 25% of all eggs produced, over 30% of all vegetables produced, and organic farmers are earning more. Not in every quarter and not in every single sector, but in general, earning more money. More farmers, also young farmers, are interested in organic, and organic is leading innovation, so that the chairman of all farmers and food companies in Denmark recently said that the organic sector creates new solutions and inspires all of agriculture. So as we also learn and borrow lessons from conventional agriculture, we are a driving force in development of agriculture in general. And none of this happened on its own. This has been a collaborative approach where Organic Denmark, representing the organic farmers and food companies, has worked closely with policymakers and the retail sector to drive change. Research also really points to organic policy and the organic NGO as key change agents and catalysts for success, where we're building those collaborations and partnerships that are mobilizing business and policy and consumers. And how does this work? Well, in the market, we have Organic Denmark, which represents the producers and processors. Then we're working at a strategic level with the individual supermarket chains, showing them what organics can do for their profile and their sales. And then working with them to expand their product assortments, present the products much better in stores, and communicate much better with their consumers about the why of organic. If they're not convinced, we can also show them that organic consumers buy more food each time they're in the store, and they're the best consumers to get into their supermarkets. If they're still not convinced, we ask consumers if they're satisfied with the organic assortment in the supermarket chains. And as here, where we could show the 2 supermarket chains that consumers were not satisfied with the product assortment, that's obviously a basis for a good conversation about how they can improve their product assortments. We can also show them, based on data from GfK, that consumers that are in their stores are actually buying organic in other stores because they don't have them on the shelves. It's very motivating. So this work with organic product assortments is obviously direct value for our farmers and our food companies, but also for the retailers, because they need to have this whole product line, which is kind of a stairway. We know most people start with milk and vegetables, for example, but they work their way up. And Co-op Denmark actually has found that it's not just a stairway, but it's actually an escalator. People aren't going back. Once they start buying organic, they're moving from one product to the next, but those products have to be in the stores for them to do that. So we help them to fill those gaps. We also do promotion campaigns, pointing out the why of organic. In this case, this campaign, En himmel til forskel, it really means the heavenly difference. Literally, you could call it, but it also means that it's because the animals are out under open sky. We also talk about pesticides. We don't attack conventional farming, but we instruct that if you buy these 5 products organic, then you can reduce your pesticide intake by 50%. And we communicate very directly in the stores, close to purchasing, about what organics can do for clean drinking water, for animal welfare, for nature. And information is not enough. We need to get consumers out on the farm where they can see and feel what organics really does for nature and for animals. So we have now almost 5% of the Danish population out on an organic farm physically every year at events like our harvest markets and Organic Day here, where the cows, for the first time in the spring, when they've been inside during the winter, they come out on fresh grass, and it shows a real organic difference. This why of organic is also the background for our dialogue with political parties. We have support from 10 out of 11 political parties for organic policy for very different reasons, and that's our approach to politicians. Organics delivers, but we talk to them on their terms. If their interest is economic development in rural areas, that's what we're talking about. If it's about clean drinking water, that's what we're talking about. So we also have political parties that aren't concerned about low carbon farming or climate, but where animal welfare is very important. So that's what we're talking about. So, and we also don't make politicians choose between conventional and organic by criticizing conventional agriculture. We talk about what organics can deliver. And in this way, and they really don't need to choose to build up organics, to do organic policy and innovation and research and farm conversion, market development. We don't need them to choose between organic in order to build it up. And then we also build strong alliances with other organizations for environment, animal welfare, really showing them that we listen to them and what their concerns are, and adjusting our practices on the basis of that. It builds up solidarity, and then they will also support us politically. And this creates this kind of political ecosystem and transformative alliance that can make things happen in the market and in the media, etc. We also use organic action plans, and have done so very early. We did the first action plan in the world for organics in 1995, and have done a great deal of it since, receiving an award from the United Nations for innovative policy, driving real change in farming and in food. And now we also have a new goal for doubling the organic market and exports and the organic area in 2030. And action plans will be a part of this. One of the differences in Denmark, looking around the world, is the degree to which we've embedded organics as a tool in relevant national policies as part of the solution, not the total solution, but part of the solution. So in our drinking water protection plan, water environment plan, rural development program, green growth and export strategies, green public procurement strategies, and climate strategies, organic is always there as a tool. So that's one of the key elements of success in Denmark, is this embedding of policy in these broader policies. Then we also, very early on, we had a broad platform within the ministry, bringing together all of the interests from environment and animal welfare and agriculture to develop policy together. Then there's been intensive focus on capacity building in the organic sector, the competencies and the capacity to drive change. State policy capacity is also very important. People who know things about organics and can be a good partner for the sector in developing policy and implementing it in a way that makes sense also for farmers and food companies and consumers. And then active use of action plans. And then when we do policy, we try to balance between push from production and the pull from the market, having both. And some examples of this balanced push-pull. One very effective tool has been the conversion checks out on individual farms, where now any farmer in Denmark can get a free conversion check. It's a whole day where they get a much better picture of how their farm would look as an organic farm. We talk very realistically about the challenges that they will face. But at the same time, we can debunk myths they may have about organic production, but also talk about their vision for developing their own farm and how organics could be part of that. Certification and inspection is free in Denmark. Why should farmers pay more to deliver eco-services to society? And then there's also conversion and organic payments in Denmark. We're definitely not at the top. We're in the bottom 1/3 in the European Union, but organic payments, especially in conversion, are very important motivation and recognition for the farmer. And then education and best practice being shown through demos and awards, as today. And then organic research, developing new solutions for organic farmers, telling them what works. And then farm innovation, what we call grassroots research, because a lot of the good ideas really are coming from the farmers themselves. I'll say a little bit about our innovation center later. And then pull from the market, there's been support for collaboration with retail, better market information, and schools for companies, helping them work more professionally with the retail on organic food or more professionally with exports. Organic public procurement, product innovation, joint export promotions of organics. We've done education for retailers and food service. And then, of course, consumer awareness of our beloved logo, our UMAC. And what I've just made in a color red here is all of the activities which are actually implemented by either Organic Denmark or other NGOs. So as you can see, NGOs are critical to policy implementation and in driving change in Denmark. And financing is through competitive funding pools. So we've never received operating support for Organic Denmark, but there's adequate resources that we can build up competencies and really make things happen. So in the end, what we have is policy directed to all links in the chain. No one is forgotten. And what we have between push and pull, if we take the example of carrots, for example, what has this meant? Then it's advice and training, developing farmers' practices. Companies are help testing new products, better market information, and help with sales in all sales channels. And with information out to consumers about what difference does an organic carrot make? And now we have half of the market for organic carrots. So these things actually do work. We also bring the whole chain together in some cases with value chain collaboration. We had a product development for a number of years. We had a product development team where here we have a farmer, a retailer, a product developer from organic Denmark, and a mill owner who are working together and have worked together to develop a whole line of products from old grain varieties from an island, Liu, which is converted to 100% organic. We also do some value chain management to ensure balance in supply and demand. Our co-ops play a very important role here so we don't get an overproduction or an underproduction. But we also do forecasts so that we can advise farmers better and recruit farmers when we need to. One example of this dynamic interplay and power in doing both policy and mobilization in the sector is our work for 60% organic in the public kitchens. On the political side, we've had three primary actions. One was the national goal for 60% organic in all public kitchens, very powerful signal. Then there was financing for the education of the people in the kitchens on this transformation and replanning within all the cities and other public administrations. Then we created an organic cuisine label for 30, 60, and 90% organic. And this is proved to be, is actually not something we saw at the beginning, but a very, very important documentation tool for the cities, because they could see based on the activities in all of their institutions, how far are they? Who's at 30%? Who's at 60%? Who's at 90%? But it's also super motivating for people working in the kitchens. We're at 30, then they start working on 60. And it's also set up a kind of a feedback mechanism where if a hospital had a goal of being always above 60% organic, then the suppliers could orient them if they're starting to fall too close to 60%. Hey, you need to buy more organic food. Then the sector mobilized to guarantee supply for the public kitchens. We brought farmers, food companies, and the food service industry together to, as we had done in retail, to expand product assortment so that all the products are there and in a volume adequate to serve the public kitchens. Then we also did schools for food service companies. Now, food service industry is strong on price and on focus on delivery, but organics was not really part of their agenda. We didn't have a lot of fans among the salespeople in the food service industry. They said, they talked organics down essentially. They said, well, it's expensive, we don't have it all the time. But by bringing them out on organic farms, by telling them what organics delivers, we actually made the frontline salespeople into a much better catalyst for and support for people working and buying from the public sector side. And then we did the education and assistance to people working in the kitchen, so that this broad agenda, which wasn't just about bringing organic products in instead of conventional, but it was also about less meat, more greens and root veggies, food in season, and much less waste. So a broad sustainability agenda for healthier, organic, climate-friendly food, and within the same operational budgets. Because by reducing waste and reducing meat, buying more properly in season, we had savings more than adequate to pay the premium price that the farmers and food companies need for organic food. And then we celebrate the people out in these kitchens. This was a campaign in Copenhagen that says they've made Copenhagen an organic capital because they have been driving a whole sustainability transition in these kitchens. So they need to be celebrated. And they're also pretty happy because they've gotten to make now more, what they call real food, use their own craft. I've written up the experience and some of the lessons with organic public procurement in Denmark for our organization, IFOAM Organics International, and IFOAM Organics Europe. And it's been used by the European Commission as part of the action plan. We also mobilized a lot of local policy, where, of course, food in the city kitchens, schools, daycare, but also all of their old retirement homes and city halls, but also 5 other areas where they can use organic to reach their goals for the Sustainable Development Goals, which a lot of cities are focusing now as a way of structuring all their sustainability efforts. So we wanted to show how organics can help and be part of the solution. So we brought them examples of how Organic Denmark has worked with cities, some cities, and happy to work with more, about climate schools and then climate action plans for farmers. And then we've done partnerships with 35 plus cities, municipalities, kommune, as they're called, to target organic conversion precisely to those areas where they need to protect their drinking water and their nature. And then getting your hands dirty, bring kids out into the soil, running gardens in 40% of cities now. We want to have, all kids should have a little organic soil under their nails. And then cities have also used organic as economic development, where our product development team also helped develop a whole range of products and local businesses, contributing to 25% job growth in those companies. Now, on the EU Green Deal, I want to leave Denmark and talk more on EU level and globally now. The EU Green Deal and the Farm to Fork is truly an organic breakthrough. I've been working on these EU action plans for 20 years, and this is decidedly a breakthrough. Organic food and farming is now a central pillar of EU policy for creating low carbon farming, biodiversity, and a strategy for agriculture. So it's a powerful recognition for organic farming's valuable role in the transition to the low carbon farming and reversing this loss of biodiversity, and better pathways for farmers and rural livelihoods. The new goal of 25% organic farm area in the European Union is a powerful signal, but how do we get there? Well, the mobilization, there's a number of key policies at the EU level, but a lot of the mobilization moves now to the member states. So I think everywhere we're scrambling to try to use the 25% goal and your national CAP strategic plans to leverage organic policy. Include, please, both market and farm level goals and budgets and initiatives. And build for the future. Don't forget to ensure focus on capacity building in the organic NGOs as catalysts for market development, farm conversion, and innovation. And then seek inspiration. iFarm Organics Europe and iFarm Organics International has some great examples, policy examples and toolkits. You have organic policies already in Estonia, but there's many more options out there that can be used to drive change. We also need some game changers at the European level that will level the playing field. At the national level also, I mean, we have pesticide taxes in Denmark, which have begun having some effect, but they've also financed some of the organic research and product development and market development activities. Today, we have the opposite of polluter pays. I mean, now conventional farming does push costs over onto organic farming because we have to test for pesticides and GMOs rather than these costs being paid by conventional farmers themselves. So lower VAT on organic food would certainly level the playing field, but also redirecting within eco schemes more resources to climate and environment will make a huge difference. And of course, we need to continue to develop the value of organic farming for sustainability. We can't stand still. So we need, if we want continued loyalty from consumers, we need to develop especially stronger climate and biodiversity guarantees within the EU regulation. A lot of farmers are doing things, but they're not part of the regulation, so we can't talk about them as directly. And then we need more research, clearly, and greater agility in evaluating and innovation related to climate. A few global trends that we really need to keep an eye on and be aware of and use in our work. There's now, as there is at the European level, there's a global recognition of agroecology and organic as a contributor to climate, biodiversity, and food security efforts. And it's not just the FAO, but also the International Climate Panel, the IPCC, and the UN Food Systems Summit in September, where one of the only 7 coalitions of governments and NGOs worldwide creating sustainable food systems is focused now on agroecology. So this is a huge step. At the same time, there's the emergence as the farm and food industry faces some facts and gets pressure from consumers to work more sustainably. There's an emergence of new sustainability agendas and concepts: regenerative agriculture, conservation agriculture, climate smart agriculture, plant-based foods. Very positive developments with many positive elements, but it's also led to some greenwashing where companies are adopting a couple of more regenerative practices, some cover crops or something, and then starting to call themselves regenerative. So that's obviously a problem. Organics is, though, also under pressure to accelerate innovation and add more value in climate and nature. Fortunately, we saw this coming in the organic sector, and IFOAM Organics International developed Organic 3.0, which, if you haven't seen it, take a look. It's not a long read, but this is like a well of inspiration that I've been returning to all these past 5 years to gain inspiration for how we address some of the major challenges we're facing. There's focus on strengthening our culture of innovation, on continuous improvement of best practice, on upscaling the uptake of organic with alternatives to market certification. I do a lot of work in Uganda right now, where there are hundreds of thousands of small producers who are beginning to use agroecological methods and organic methods, but probably will never be organically certified. And if we don't have strategies that can improve their yields, as we have now, without certification, then the relevance of organic will be replaced by other things. Alliances with wider sustainability interests, and then of course working on this fairness from farmer to consumer, dividing the risks and rewards and of production, and then true value and cost accounting is just some of the issues. Just a few examples turning back to Denmark and ways of addressing some of these issues. We know that these alternative sustainability concepts and agendas for plant-based, tech-based, regenerative, they do compete with organic for research focus, policy focus, but also increasingly for space on the shelves and in the media. But all 3 of these can make organic more sustainable. So if they build on an organic foundation, so how do we do it? Well, we have to accelerate our own innovation, but also build alliances with the organizations and companies working with new technical solutions, but also regenerative agriculture and plant-based. Create partnerships with retail, where we see a rush to market of conventional plant-based, but where they could just as well be organic. Dialogue and collaboration with the organizations working in the area and the companies working in the area, and creative agenda setting alliances like we've seen in the United States with the Regenerative Organic Alliance, which is building regenerative practices on top of organic. Just a couple of last examples from Denmark of how we've addressed this is to try to be in front and set an agenda in climate, is that we've demanded steep emission reductions in agriculture and food. We've had a food systems change approach. So farming going from monoculture to multiculture, and with a better balance between plant and animal production. So it's these more holistic solutions with many co-benefits. And then spreading best climate practice and getting them in the media, climate heroes, organic farmers working with new climate solutions. We've developed climate accounting tools, helping the individual farmer on their farm see where the emissions are and what steps they can take to reduce them, and then documenting this. We've also been in front in the organic sector with new strategies for farm subsidies, moving them towards environment and climate, and then positioning organic in the plant-based agenda with policy and new alliances. So now the alternative dairy, plant-based dairy, is 64% organic in Denmark. And just lastly, a few recent breakthroughs, which I'm really excited about, where we've been setting an organic agenda in climate and in innovation. Last month, a new Danish climate strategy for agriculture, where organic is a central tool for climate, a doubling of the organic area, contributing 2 tons of reductions per hectare. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether organics has more emissions per kilo when we have lower yields, and that's an important conversation, and we need to work with our yields. But when we're talking climate strategies from nations, it's a territorial discussion, and all researchers agree that on a hectare basis, organics has lower emissions. We've also made Europe's largest national one-time investment in innovation in plant-based foods, where at least 60% is earmarked to organic. Last year, we started a plant-based innovation center focusing on organic plant-based supply chains and food innovation. We did this together with the Vegetarian Society. Last month, we opened the Innovation Center for Organic Farming with climate, tech, and regenerative practices as a central focus. This is something Organic Denmark did with the primary conventional farm organization. In June, our new Danish foreign aid strategy has organic and agroecology as a focus. And of course, as I mentioned, organic is solidly in the center of public procurement for food, because we took the lead from the start on not just organic, but also plant-based and climate-friendly meals. So my final words is we need all 4 catalysts for change. We need organic policy, we need market partnerships, we need innovative farmers and research, and we need organic NGOs as catalysts for all of these things. And together we can grow organics. Thank you very much, and good luck with your work.